So Representative Ilhan Omar is again defending herself against Meghan McCain after she made some comments on The View. Now, these comments, of course, blamed Omar's rhetoric for a deadly attack at a California synagogue that happened on Saturday. Now, according to Raw Story, the Saturday shooting at the Shabbat of Poway Synagogue had left one dead and the rabbi injured in the most recent attack at a place of worship, and another example of right-wing terrorism. I added that part because, look, that's what it is. It's right-wing terrorism. Yet nobody seems to talk about that. It's weird. Weird. Anti-Semitism. And, of course, that comes mainly from the extreme right. Now, here's what McCain had said, quote, "I do think that when we are having conversations about anti-Semitism, we should be looking at the most extreme on both sides. And I would bring up Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and some of her questions that got some of her comments that got so much attention. So some of her comments included all about the Benjamins when it comes to so much support from Congress members for AIPAC, right? Again, AIPAC is a lobbying influence arm of the right-wing Israeli government headed by Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, I'm not a fan of the right-wing government of Israel, and neither is Ilhan Omar, and so she criticized that and said, look, basically, they, lobby. They don't, officially give money, but they're able to funnel it through, I guess, funnel money through, I think, to politicians, and basically get influence over our politicians, and so they would pass more pro-Israel or pro-right-wing Israeli government policy, right? And of course, it's the same. A lot of other countries still do the same thing. Saudi Arabia, for example, has a lobbyist arm. I would imagine nearly every country has a lobbyist arm that they use to try to influence American politicians. You know what? Maybe we should make it so that it's more difficult to try to bribe our politicians into doing things that support the benefit of other countries. Maybe we should, look at doing that. But unfortunately, right now, and see, we don't. And so, look, when you point out Saudi Arabia has a lobbying arm, well, then people get upset. Not as many people get upset. But when you point out AIPAC as the lobbying arm of Israel, a ton of people get upset. A lot of people. And they say things like, how dare you? That's anti-Semitism. That feeds into old, anti-Jewish tropes and etc. Right? And so, look, Ilhan Omar, I don't think she needed to apologize, but she apologized anyway. And of course, every time that this is brought up, they hold the apology against her and say, look at that, she apologized. She's anti-Semitic. She keeps saying anti-Semitic things. But it wasn't anti-Semitic to point out how AIPAC is a lobbyist group. And so that's why you shouldn't apologize, especially when you're right. Especially when you're right. Now she continues. When you're talking about rhetoric and you want to talk about President Trump, and by the way, I agree he needs to have his feet held to the fire as well, but we're talking about it on both sides of the aisle as well. Now, wait a minute. It's not the same. Again, calling out the influence of a lobbyist group, it's not the same as, for example, Donald Trump saying that there are good people on both sides on Charlottesville. One side chanted, "The Jews will not replace us." How is that the same as what Ilhan Omar was saying? I mean, there's good people on that side, but no. I guess it's this horseshoe theory, right? Which is absolute ridiculous false equivalence. Pointing out money in politics and influence by foreign lobbying groups is not. Look, it's not even equivalent. It's not the same at all. Anti-Semitism on the right wing is horrible. It's horrifying. And so it doesn't exist on the left as much as the right wing tries to say it is. So, but anyway, look, This whole comparison, it's about attacking progressives. And that's what it is. And attacking any legitimate criticism of the right-wing government of Israel. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Now, McCain thinks, oh, no, I'm being a friend of Jews, right? No, but here's the thing. Supporting the right-wing government of Israel is actually bad for Jewish people, because endless war in the Middle East is bad for Jewish people as well. Keeping Palestinians in open-air prisons put more Jewish people at risk of terror attacks both there and here. And so that's bad. Doing what the right-wing government of Israel is doing is not sustainable. It's not good in the long run. It's going to end up having terrible impacts and losses of life. Okay? And so you want to criticize that. That should be absolutely acceptable and 100% correct, because it is correct. So now, Omar's response, right? We're finally getting to that part. Here's what she said when she quoted the article. Oh, bless her heart. Hey, look, you want to talk about keeping it simple? You want to talk about throwing a little bit of shade? Now, there you go. There's all the shade that you need. Hey, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.